Movie directors will usually stop at nothing to bring their vision to life, whether it's pushing the boundaries and limits of filmmaking, or even going as far as crashing a full-size plane into an airport. All for just a few minutes of screen time. But what makes a director truly legendary? Is it their artistic flair, their directorial genius, or their ability to inspire and command entire armies of people for a movie? Today we're going to dive deep into the minds of some of the most iconic directors in movie history. Starting off, we have Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is iconic in many ways, like when he directed The Dark Knight, the recent Oppenheimer movie, and when he directed Tenet or ordered that plane to be crashed into the airport. But what makes Nolan so interesting is that he rarely uses CGI in his movies, and does a thing called practical effects. Christopher Nolan's use of practical effects are used in almost all of his movies he directed. His recent movie, Oppenheimer, didn't even use CGI for the Trinity test and used chemicals and also real explosives to make it happen. Another good example of his use of practical effects is his work in Interstellar and Inception, mostly using his skills of practical effects to use. But if I talk about all of this in detail, it's probably gonna be 20 minutes long, so just watch my video about him. But you know who else pushed the limits of cinema? It's Francis Ford Coppola, who famously directed Apocalypse Now, and it was known to be a director's nightmare to say the least. The shooting was initially to be completed in 5 months in the Philippines, but a series of problems emerged like severe weather, destroyed sets, causing delays and adding into the chaos. Marlon Brando, initially needed to be fit for his role as Colonel Walter E. Kurtz, arrived overweight and unprepared for his role, complicating his scenes. Meanwhile, Martin Sheen, playing as Benjamin Willard, had a mental breakdown and suffered a near-fatal heart attack while on location, further impacting the already troubled shoot. These setbacks made the production infamously difficult. A civil conflict also was heating up in the Philippines, which made the shooting more difficult. But even with this, Francis Ford Coppola pushed on and his mental health deteriorated. But the movie was finally finished and it was praised by critics. After filming the movie, Coppola stated, "We were in the jungle, there were too many of us. We had access to too much money, too much equipment, and little by little, we went insane." A documentary about the production of Apocalypse Now, Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, was also released. Another filmmaker who pushed the boundaries of cinema, not necessarily in direction, but in humor, is Quentin Tarantino. Most of his movies were crude, crass, and filled with stylized violence, but in the best ways possible. He made movies like Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Basterds, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. His films mostly use dialogue, often with profanity and references and links to popular culture. Some say it's rude, I call it art. A good example of his direction is in Pulp Fiction, where dark humor shines. The movie's budget was to be only $8.5 million, which was small for a film of its ambition. Many actors worked for lower than usual salaries because they believed in the project or wanted to collaborate with Tarantino. The film relied heavily on practical effects rather than expensive CGI, which sounds familiar. The movie also was a bit of a gamble, as it could have been alienated mainstream audiences. However, it received many praises after Pulp Fiction was released and was a success, and launched Quentin Tarantino's career into new heights after the movie. 3 of these directors, each in their own unique way, have redefined art of filmmaking and forever changed the cinematic landscape. But if you want to learn about the literally me phenomenon and about the effects of the meme, you should click on this video, and I promise you will not be disappointed.